has been a part of this program for 4 years. He signed here, and he's been up and down to the point where he and another player even divided this fan base between Five Hive and Team Jaren and Miami Martell. And it was something that was just egregious. Now that we look back on it, we shouldn't have rooted against one another. We should have just rooted for the right player to come out on top of that. So N'Kosi Perry, number 5, has decided to enter the transfer portal. A lot of us saw this coming. His career has had an up and down slope. I mean, he started out with a young man who probably should have never been his position coach, and John Riggs, Mark Riggs' son, who his foundation was never really laid properly. A young man that was probably a great, piece of clay dough, but needed to be molded to be the type of QB that a lot of us wanted him to be. I mean, his rocket arm, the way he can understand defenses at the level that it needed to go was never established here. And I do feel bad for that young man, because that's something that, these $100,000, $1 million coaches get paid to do, is to be able to hopefully help to bring you along. That's what the job is entitled. Not only as a football player, but as a young man. There were plenty of things that people said about N'Kosi Perry off the football field. And yes, he's made his mistakes. It's well documented. He has been someone who has really turned things around, focused himself, and gotten much better. As you saw in the Oak State game, in the bowl game, he was able to step in, and some can argue the offense looked a little better under him due to his arm strength and just putting it out there and giving him a chance. So I'm really, really happy to see him get an opportunity to go somewhere. I don't know where. Talks of maybe a USF, an FAU. I mean, he's a Florida young man, so they're thinking that he's going to stay in the state. But I don't know for a fact where he will go. But for me personally, I'll never forget the game winner versus Tallahassee with Brevin Jordan. I loved it. I've always felt like he should have had that chance versus Florida, and we threw a freshman out there and kind of ruined his confidence. And Jaren Williams, who also transferred out last year. What this also shows is, to me, growth from Coach Manny Diaz, and I'll tell you why. Instead of holding on to a young man and not allowing them to leave or being in the way of them leaving, I believe there was a sit-down conversation and basically saying, I trust you to just do what's best for you, because we have the Eric King for another year, hopefully, due to the injury. And then we also have a Jake Garcia, a Tyler Van Dyke, a Peyton Matocha, who are all under second-year players, very young players. So there may not be a spot for N'Kosi Perry to start here moving forward. So I'm happy with another year of eligibility. An older player can go to another system and do well. I hope he goes to a spread where he can use that arm and get it out there and show that rocket off. But he'll always be a Cane. He's obtained his degree already from the University of Miami, and I'm very happy to see him step away, and I hope he goes off to be great at whatever institution, as long as it's not Tallahassee.
I'll give you my assessment and evaluation, and I certainly want to know if this has any value at all. So the one distinction I'll make between Perry and certainly Malik Rozier and then Jaren Williams is that the ease at which he threw the ball. So Brad Kaya, it's been so long since I watched him play, but basically you're looking at a guy who had he been developed, he was drafted by the Lions, correct? Mm-hmm. Like a 6th round selection. He certainly had ability and skills, and why he came out and didn't take advantage of what could have been provided for him in 2017. But then again, considering the coaching he would have received in 2017, I don't know that it would have helped him too much. But theoretically, another year in major college football would have really helped Brad Kaya. So he was a really good player, certainly. Then we get to Malik Rozier and, separating again the person versus just making a player evaluation. There's no question that Malik Rozier should not have been starting anywhere for a Power 5 team. It just looked like it was difficult for him. Like the accuracy was just, he was scattershot. Jaren Williams can throw the ball with velocity and so forth, but comparing Rozier and Williams, and I'm not saying that they're the same quarterback, but N'Kosi Perry threw the ball with such, I love when guys can just, for lack of a better term, sling it It looked like he could just, now maybe he didn't make the best decision in the world. Maybe the ball placement wasn't the best, but man, he just threw it with ease and he could just rip it. And it just looked natural coming out of his hand to me compared to those other two.
Right. And I think those other two had better mechanics. So their footwork, their shoulder placement, they were able to, it was.
Yeah, he had more of this kind of like this odd.
Could just like, and it just shoot, it just got out of his hand.
Yeah.
I think N'Kosi Perry and my favorite QB at University of Miami recent that I got to watch from beginning all the way to end was Stephen Morris. And Stephen Morris, there was a reason why he had a 6-year backup career and started a couple games. It's the way that he was able to it was effortless the way that ball shot out of his hand. He had issues with throwing to the sideline accuracy, but over the middle of the field and deep, oh my goodness. He didn't have much touch, but he was super cerebral, had a great IQ. And if there was a ball, he could fit it in a lot of windows with Stephen Morris. And I think N'Kosi Perry, man, it's funny somebody put it in there. If he goes to USF, it'll be another QB battle between him and Jaren. Wouldn't that be funny if he goes to USF? But I think going under the offensive coordinator from Clemson, Jeff Scott, that's his name.
Okay, yep.
Jeff Scott is at USF. So what I was saying is going there and getting in his system, I think, would be really good for N'Kosi Perry because of what he did and the way that his QBs played. And I think another thing people get misconstrued, Mark, to step to something else. This argument that Miami's always had talent, we got to evaluate that too. Because if we really want to sit down and have these type of discussions, Miami has had B-, B+, maybe an A- talent. Miami ain't rolling in big time talent like that to where we think that, if we just fix the coaches, then the players will just get in line and it'll just work out and we're back in the national championship game. No. This top tier, there's like a top 3, even 4, 5, and 6 is playing a completely different game than even 8 and 9, and we're not even there. So there's a lot that we got to put together and start investing in. And another thing, they've been doing this for. There's certain teams that decided that this was going to be their thing, football, about a decade ago. Miami's just now having these conversations. Miami's just starting to get pretty good strength and conditioning. When teams at the elite level have been having in a whole different level of strength and conditioning, some teams, Mark, have their own staffs that's almost the same size as some coaching staffs, just for strength and conditioning. Then nutrition, then sports. I mean, it's just way out there at some places. And then, with the couple of talent that we do have, if we get a coach that can galvanize the troops and really get us focused, then we may be able to get a 2017 in there. When we get a 10 win. You start talking about the elite of the elite, it's gonna take a little minute for Miami to get up there. But